The Penguins and the Utah Hockey Club. Penguins postgame begins now on Sports for Beginners and on the ice and behind the benches. Let's get rolling. You're locked in to Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins play here on the Sports for Beginners podcast. Hey, Showtime scores! The bingo game is ready to roll. Welcome to Penguins postgame. PPG for PGH. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Here is your host, Scott McGregor. The Pittsburgh Penguins and the Utah Hockey Club go to battle as we welcome you in the Penguins postgame. The first battle of two meetings in the inaugural Utah Hockey Club season. But for the Pittsburgh Penguins, it's just another 82-game season and another measure of what has become quite the year for them. Hello, everyone. I am your host, Thomas McGregor, in for the host of Sports for Beginners and Penguins post game. I also host Penguins pre-show on Sports for Beginners, available only on Sports for Beginners. We are coming to you after Utah Hockey Club and Penguins met in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, as the Penguins were trying to counteract a back-to-back loss after being swept by the Winnipeg Jets. In Pittsburgh, I believe it was in Pittsburgh for the game against the Winnipeg Jets. I'll figure that out if we go through the previews a little later on. But before we get to any of that, I do want to remind you that once we're done with the goaltenders and the head coaches, we'll take a break and get ready for our period by period summary, as well as get you ready for the game stats. And we have some things to bring out on this show, like the shake of the game and all of that. Let's not waste any more time and get right in to the swing of things with our coaches for this game. Let's go to our coaches for this game. And there, of course, are Andre Turingi and Mike Sullivan. But of course, Pittsburgh Penguins fans, you already knew that and have been looking at this from a standpoint that I might not get into. So that's Andre T. Andre T. I'm going to go with Andre T for the Utah Hockey Club. He is the head coach. All right. More on the coaches and the officials in just a little bit. But now that we've gone through the coaches, we've gone through the teams that they're head coaches of. Let's take a look at who was not playing in this game and who was playing in this game. Let's take a look. So it was a look at Liam O'Brien. Liam O'Brien was out for this game. We also had Juuso Valmaki. Juuso Valmaki. I apologize if I am not saying the last name right. I'm going to go with JV for this one. Also scratched was Palatseva K. I'm going to go with VK for this one. I'll go with VK for that one. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, not in was the Jack St. Ivany, Valtteri Pustinen. So VP was not in, and Jack St. Ivany was not in. Neither was Ryan Shea. Interesting. Very interesting. So those were your people to be mindful of in the scratches. I wonder where our goaltenders could be. Well, I don't have to wonder because we could just pull up the notes and say that we know who the goaltenders were. So let's do that. Let's pull up a note and let's pull up our notes and figure out where the Penguins and the Utah Hockey Club had their goaltenders tonight. Let's figure out where that was. And we got our notes here. So you already know the head coaches. We don't need to talk about the coaches anymore. You already know the head coaches. So it would be Alex Nedeljkovic, number 39, with Tristan Jarry being the backup wearing number 35. So it'll be 39 starting, 35 backing up. Jackson Starbrew or Jackson Starbrew. I'm going to go with Jackson S. Or Jackson S. Yeah. He was the backup for number 70, Koral Vjamelka. I'm going to go with KV for this one. KV. KV was the starter for the Utah Hockey Club. And number 33 was the backup for the Utah Hockey Club under Andre as the head coach. And they were against Mike Sullivan, Alex Nedeljkovic, and Tristan Jarry. All right. Now, what about the goal scoring? Well, let's take a timeout and we'll talk about the goal scoring in that portion. But it should be noted that after this match between the Utah Hockey Club tonight, the Utah Hockey Club and the Pittsburgh Penguins won't be meeting until 9:30 Eastern time January 29th, 2025. For all those on the Eastern Zone watching Penguins and Utah Hockey Club, we won't be seeing Utah and the Penguins play until 9:30 Eastern, January 29th, 2025. Now, that feels like a long way away, but really, it's just a month away because we are approaching December. But more on the December schedule later in the program. Let's take that time out, and when we come back, we'll break out who scored, who took penalties if we have time, and when we take another break, we'll get you ready for what's taking on the ice for the NHL. We do have our things to get to, like the shake of the game, our stars of the game also. And if there's time, we'll do some game pucks of the game. All of that still to come when Penguins postgame continues. After this, stay with us on Sports for Beginners and on the ice and behind the benches. We'll be back in a moment.
Looking for a sports podcast that covers sports weekly as well as gets you set up for the day? Check out Weekly in Sports with me, Scott McGregor. We give some shout outs of the week to podcasts like this one and those who do them. Discuss the Blue Jays, Bills, Raptors, and more. To learn more, check out the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners.
CNT Radio will never give you up. They will never let you down. Nor will they run around or desert you. So join Nick Astley for The Melting Pot every Saturday on CNT Radio. Hang on a minute. He's not Nick Astley. Oh, jings, I've done it wrong. Anyway, just join Nick for The Melting Pot on CNT Radio.
Penguins 1, Utah Hockey Club 6. How did the Utah Hockey Club take victory over the Pittsburgh Penguins? Welcome back in the Penguins postgame. We're going to get you right into it. And just a reminder, the next meeting between these squads is January 29th, 2025 at 9:30 Eastern Time. So let's find out how the Penguins and the Utah Hockey Club did in the first meeting between each other. A reminder to Penguins fans that the Penguins are trying to bounce back from a 4-1 loss to the red-hot Winnipeg Jets. We'll find out how the Winnipeg Jets did, because I do believe they were on a back-to-back. We'll find out how they did, and if they swept their back-to-back in just a matter of moments. But first things first. let's talk about the goals. Now, keep in mind, please do keep in mind that the man I'm about to talk about that did score a goal in this game was on the verge of reaching a milestone. Who is that, you ask? Let's begin with the breakdown. It's the period by period summary. And we'll start in the first period with Dylan Gunther getting his 8th assist of the season. Logan Cooley getting his 10th assist of the season. With Jack McBain getting his 6th goal of the season and the early 1-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's Utah Hockey Club 1, Penguins 0. So that's 1 point for the Utah Hockey Club and 0 points for the Pittsburgh Penguins. 1-0. Speaking of 2-0, Mikhail Sergachev, or M. Sergachev, if I'm saying that right. If not, I apologize. I'll just call you MS. MS gets his 5th goal of the season. Clayton Keller on the assist, his 11th of the season. And Nick Schmaltz, I believe his name is, Nick Schmaltz, gets his 14th of the season. Both goals, first period was 8 minutes and 54 seconds. MS's goal was the ender of the first period, 13 minutes and 7 seconds on the wrist shot from Colton Keller and Nick Schmaltz. Nick Schmaltz and Colton Keller from MS to blank Nedeljkovic and make it a 2-0 lead. Utah Hockey Club out in front by 2 goals. Not so fast, says the captain of Sidney Crosby as they open up the first 40 minutes, the second 20 period, which is, of course, the second period of action. And it's the captain, oh my captain, he gets goal number 600 of his NHL career, and also goal number 8 of his season with the Penguins this season. But he would be met by Erik Karlsson, or as we know him as, in short, EK65 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He would be the 10th assist of the season and the assister for Sidney Crosby's 8th goal of the season. And Sidney Crosby would also have EK65 as a memory to the 600 NHL career goal for Sidney Crosby's career. Now, Sidney Crosby, congratulations on the milestone. We're going to talk about the milestone a little bit later on in the show if we do have time. And keep in mind, this is very hard to get. Not many players can get 600 goals. Welcome to the 600 Club, as the NHL would say. And they did say when Sidney Crosby reached 600, welcome to the club. Feels like when we saw Austin Matthews of the Maple Leafs, if there are any Maple Leaf fans tuning in, when he was getting close to scoring 70 goals, but also made his way into the 60 goal scoring club, scoring 60 goals in a single season. Moving on. Nick B, his 4th goal of the season, comes on a power play for Utah. It's the power play goal for Utah Hockey Club, the first of many that will be scored in this game. And it comes on the assist of Michael Kesslering and Michael Carcone. Michael Carcone and Michael Kesslering to Nick B for a PPG to the Utah Hockey Club, and it is now 3-1 in favor of the Utah Hockey Club. So, Pittsburgh Penguins fans, how are we feeling after 40 minutes? I know how I feel, but let's see if the Utah Hockey Club have a chance to actually beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, or rather, the Penguins have a chance at coming back. They're down 2 goals, but they were down 2 goals before. That was when Crosby said, "You're not shutting me out with my team, not while I'm around." And thus, goal 600 of his NHL career was born. Dylan Guenther got things started in the 3rd period and kept things going with Alexander Kerfoot and Dylan Guenther trading goals 5, 6, and 4 in back-to-back time slots. First, Alexander Kerfoot at 7 minutes and 25 seconds, but 6 minutes and 38 seconds before that, Dylan Guenther got his first goal of the game, his 8th of the season, on a PPG for Utah Hockey Club. Another power play goal. Now remember, the first power play goal came on Nick B. is stick. The second one came off of Dylan Guenther. And the third one, which would also mark his 9th goal of the season and 2nd of the night, would come off of a 15-minute and 59-second goal time from an assist from Colton Keller, his 3rd assist of the night, 13th of the season. Logan Cooley, his 3rd assist of the night. I think this might be his 2nd assist of the night. Excuse me there. And that was his 11th assist of the season. Now, Alexander Kerfoot, he got an assist from Michael Carcone, and he also got an assist from ML. I don't know the name of the ML name, but I probably will throughout our next break of the program. Anyways, that is ML's 2nd assist of the night, 2nd of the season, and it comes with Alexander Kerfoot. Now, Nick Schmaltz played a huge part in this game for the Utah Hockey Club, as he was the assister of Dylan Guenther's first goal of the game, 8th of the season, at 6 minutes and 38 seconds. But Colton Keller was also a part of that, as was he a part of Mikhail Sergeyev, his goal, or MS as I'm calling him. So his first assist of the game would come at a 2-0 Utah Hockey Club 2-0 lead over the Pittsburgh Penguins. Nick Schmaltz's first assist would also come at that time, his 14th of the season. Dylan Guenther would get one assist in the night with Jack McBain, and Logan Cooley would have more assists than he did when it started, as he would get his 10th assist with Jack McBain, his 10th assist of the game at 8 minutes and 54 seconds. Colton Keller's first assist comes with Mikhail Sergeyev, and that would be his 11th assist of the game. His second assist of the night will come off of Dylan Guenther, and that will be his 12th assist of the night. Nick Schmaltz would have his second assist of the night, or rather first of the night, with 15th assist of the season. His first assist would actually come with Mikhail Sergeyev, 5th goal of the season, and that would be his 14th assist of the game. Colton Keller, of course, first assist of the night, and so is Nick Schmaltz. Now, Nick Schmaltz's second time and Colton Keller's second time would be with Dylan Guenther, who would get his 8th goal of the season, just like Sidney Crosby. But he would also get his 9th goal of the season, and would also make Logan Cooley and Colton Keller receive his 3rd assist of the night, and Logan Cooley receive his 11th assist of the season, and also 2nd assist of the night, because he was not a part of the other assist categories. Okay, so that is pretty much the goal summary on the period by period summary. But let's take a look at the penalties, and then if there's time, we will look at the game stats of the game. We do have a lot to cover here, and I think we'll take a timeout before we get to the game stats. So before we get to that timeout, let's talk about the period penalties. And Maverick L, or as I call him, ML, would receive penalties in this game. One, just a minute into the first period of action, and it would be a slashing call against Sidney Crosby. Now, how do you think Sid responds to this? Well, you go to the second period, and Maverick L, what do you do again? You get another slashing call. This time, it's against Marcus Pettersson. But hey, you're not the only one going into the box. This time, the penalty box. Someone's joining you, and that's Nick Schmaltz. He's getting a slashing call against Sidney Crosby. What do you do, Sidney Crosby? Well, you do this. You blank the net of the Utah Hockey Club, and you score 600 goals in your NHL career. Congratulations to you, my friend. But then this happened. 8 minutes and 52 seconds in, Jesse Pujavari gets a call, and it is a tripping call on Ole Mata, if I'm saying that right. Apologetic in advance if I'm not saying that right, Mata. Michael Bunting would be the next victim in the penalty box for the Pittsburgh Penguins at 17 minutes and 23 seconds. I wonder what this is for. Well, it's for tripping, because why not? Speaking of tripping, third period rolls around and you've got penalties all over the place, except one is only to Utah Hockey Club, the others to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Start with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and at 14 minutes and 42 seconds, Drew O'Connor receives an interference call on the ice against Nick Schmaltz. So he's a penalty guy, and he's a penalty drawer guy. Like, he will draw a penalty if he needs to. Great job, Nick Schmaltz. I'm really impressed by your performance tonight. Matt Grzelcyk would also be getting a send bin. And where does he go into the penalty box at? Well, 5 minutes and 21 seconds. Logan Cooley gets Matt Grzelcyk to trip him up, and Logan Cooley hands Pittsburgh another penalty kill, as if they already had penalty kill already in the second period. So the Pittsburgh Penguins tackle 4 penalties, but so do the Utah Hockey Club, because they couldn't escape ML getting a roughing call against Michael Bunting at 4 minutes and 3 seconds. All right, let's take a timeout and get into our game stats of the game. Still plenty more to come here on Penguins postgame, including our shakes of the game. We might not have time for a game puck of the game, but fingers crossed. Let's keep it going. And we're going to get you ready for what's coming up with the Penguins and the Utah Hockey Club. It's a quick turnaround for the Utah Hockey Club, though, with who could be the match on tomorrow night's Utah Hockey Club hockey action. Stay tuned to Pittsburgh Penguins post game and find out. Back in a few minutes with more from PPG Paints Arena on Sports for Beginners and on the ice and behind the benches. Hi, everyone. Scott McGregor here. Oh, what's that? What's that? Do you hear what I hear? Do you hear what I hear? Come out and join us for the Season 3 Sports for Beginners Christmas Party Finale this December on Sports for Beginners. We'll talk about everything from our top 10 episodes, our podcast wrap up, a little bit of sports talk mixed in. Plus, I would love to know what your favorite holiday traditions are. So come on out and join us. Come on out and join us. Rather, Actually, better than that, come spend the holidays with us here on Sports for Beginners. It's certainly going to be a great show. That's Sports for Beginners Season 3 finale Christmas party extravaganza coming this December on Sports for Beginners. It will be a pre-recorded program, so make sure you tune in. And if you'd like to be involved, send an email to sportsforbeginners podcast8231@gmail.com. Happy holidays, everybody! From all of us here at Sports for Beginners.
Take another look with Gerda Felix and Melanie Taddeo Malo, two powerful women of diverse backgrounds having genuine, unique, and uncomfortable conversations that everyone needs to have. Join Melanie and Gerda for conversations about what is missing from human connections.
Welcome back in the Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on Sports for Beginners, and of course on the ice and behind the benches. I am the host of tonight's program for you, Thomas McGregor. Penguins fans, oh boy, was this not the outcome you were expecting. I mean, where do I begin? I mean, this game was, to me, it kind of feels like what happened when you guys went on to face the Dallas Stars. But now there is a bright spot to it. And the bright spot is you got to see your captain, if you were in attendance for the game, score his 600th NHL career goal. Now, that's got to be something you're thinking to yourself, saying, I would have loved if I had tickets. You're probably saying that you watched it on TV. You're probably like, man, I would have loved to be in PPG Paints Arena to watch it from the crowd standpoint. Just imagine what it would have felt, would have felt like what it would have felt like watching the captain score 600 career NHL goals. And this was only his 20th season in the NHL. Congratulations to Sidney Crosby. I mean, honestly, congratulations, buddy. All right, time now for the game stats. Of course, we could get to the stars of the game, but where's the fun in that? Let's talk about the game stats first before we get into the stars of the game, and we still have the shake of the game to get to. We'll get to that in just a little bit. I do want to, as we bring out the game stats, I do want to actually bring out a note that we will talk about what's coming up for the Utah Hockey Club and what's coming up for the Pittsburgh Penguins. So stick with us when those are coming around. All right. So we've done our period by period summary, but sometimes period by period summary isn't really wrapped up until you get the stat. But I really don't want the stat. Give it to me anyway. Let's see. Well, despite the shots on goal, by the Penguins and, of course, the Utah Club, we'll talk about that in a minute. But despite the shots on goal, a face-off category was 52.5% of good for your Pittsburgh Penguins. So that's pretty good for the Penguins. It's pretty good considering they got a power play goal on 4 chances. 1 for 4 tonight with 25%. So they were 1 out of 4 chances. They converted on 1 out of 4 chances. So not bad, not bad. 75% 3 power play goals out of 4 chances for the Utah Hockey Club. And their faceoff percentage was 47.5% on the faceoff circle. So I think they had the better power play. I'm not sure they had the better faceoff draws, considering the Pittsburgh Penguins pretty much almost won every single draw, with it being 52.5% for them tonight. Now, both teams, you can't deny this one. They both spent 8 minutes in the penalty box, 8 minutes for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and 8 minutes for the Utah Hockey Club. The Pittsburgh Penguins hit the Utah Hockey Club 42 times, and the Utah Hockey Club hit the Penguins just about 31 times. So they basically hit each other a lot more than they scored. I mean, the Utah Hockey Club had 31 hits. The Pittsburgh Penguins had 42 hits. And both teams each spent 8 minutes in the box. So, I mean, inaugural season, right, for the Utah Hockey Club. I mean, how else would you expect them to go against the Pittsburgh Penguins? Moving right along here with the blocked shots. And despite the Penguins' best efforts to keep this game close, this game, in terms of blocked shots, would make the Penguins only block 8 shots to the Utah Hockey Club. And the Utah Hockey Club pretty much did almost all the work. Their goaltender didn't really have a shot to do all the work. But 15 blocked shots from the Pittsburgh Penguins. And while they may have gave the puck away a little bit more than the Pittsburgh Penguins did, 12 times they gave the puck away, the Penguins only gave it up 7 times, but they also gave it up a lot more in terms of takeaways than Utah Hockey Club did. The Utah Hockey Club only took care of 2 takeaways from the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then the rest was even Steven, because once Pittsburgh tied the takeaways, it was all over for Utah Hockey Club. But Thomas, they won the game. How is it all over if they won the game? Pittsburgh lost the game, and Utah won. Yes, Utah won, but if you talk about it from a takeaways perspective, Pittsburgh had the advantage, because not only did they take the puck away 7 times, but they also gave the puck away 7 times. And if you think about it, while they may have given the puck away 7 times, you also kind of wonder, okay, so what was the real shot total then? How did they do in terms of shots? Was this our game. Was this not our game? Well, let's take a look. Shall we? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Now, the shots on goal tally finishes like this: 30 for the Pittsburgh Penguins and 28 for your Pittsburgh Penguins. But okay, sure. But that's that's what the final tally was. But how many shots on net were there actually? Well, let's find out. And I know I said that already, but I mean it when I say let's find out. Because I am even curious to figure out how many shots on goal were scored in this game, both first, second, and third period, or as we call it, the regulation period on Maple Leaf Post recap. That's beside the point. Now, obviously, Pittsburgh Penguins have a little bright side, but it's not too bright a side. We begin with the shots on goal in the first period, and the first period of action total shots. The Penguins end up trailing just by a shot on net, tallying just 10 total shots, while the Utah Hockey Club tallied 11 shots. They would keep it going, but only manage 9 total shots in the second period, while Pittsburgh would tally 12 shots in the second period. So it seems like Pittsburgh won the second period. Utah won the first period. Second period was won by the Pittsburgh Penguins, 12-9. But then again, the winning total shots and the winning goals were 6 for the Utah Hockey Club and 30 for the Utah Hockey Club in terms of shots, 28 for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and of course, 1 goal goes by the goaltender of the Utah Hockey Club, and that's Sidney Crosby's 600th NHL career goal. Wow. And when you talk about the third period, Utah Hockey Club turned up the heat again, but this time fell 1 short of their first period tally on shots, tallying just 10 shots. For the Pittsburgh Penguins, they fell well short of their first period shots on goal and well short of their second period shots on goal, with just 6 shots total in the third period. So 6 scoring chances basically for the Pittsburgh Penguins in the third period, 12 scoring chances in the second period, and 10 scoring chances in the first period. One of those 12 scoring chances ended up being a goal. Remember, we just talked about who that goal scorer was, and that was Sidney Crosby. His 600th goal of his NHL career. And going into this game, he had 599 goals in his NHL career. 599 goals in his NHL career. That's very tough to do, especially when you are in your 20th season with the NHL and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Remember, Crosby has been with the Penguins since Mario Lemieux, who is an absolute hockey legend. in the NHL, and you follow the footsteps of those legends, and you create history-making games that will last a generation. All right. Our game stats have been given. Let's take a look at some of the action that happened on this Saturday night following the Pittsburgh Penguins game. Now, there was some action earlier, and some of that action included a match with the Buffalo Sabres and the San Jose Sharks, in which the San Jose Sharks fell short to the Buffalo Sabres 4-2 in favor of the Buffalo Sabres. So it's a victory Sunday for the Buffalo Sabres, just an ordinary Sunday for the San Jose Sharks. The New York Islanders ended up beating the St. Louis Blues 3-1. And the Smashville of Nashville, otherwise known as the Music City, would beat the Winnipeg Jets 4-1. Now, keep in mind, the Winnipeg Jets are having, as I've stated before on Maple Leaf Post Recap, a season to remember. And they have had quite the season to remember. We'll look at the record for the Winnipeg Jets maybe some other time on Sports for Beginners. A couple of other ones I want to get in before we get into our break, and that will follow our stars of the game as we wrap up with the stars of the game, is Sheldon Keefe and the New Jersey Devils sending the Capitals to an ordinary Sunday and a victory Sunday for them, beating the Capitals in a close one, like a really, really close one, 3-2. Speaking of close games, the Carolina Hurricanes and the Blue Jackets force overtime, but overtime does not seem like enough. So bring on the goalie versus shooter match and wait till the very last guy to score in Sean Monahan. Sean Monahan is the shootout winner for the Blue Jackets and creates the victory for the Blue Jackets, in which they were outshot, but not really, 32-36. So the Hurricanes had 36 shots on goal, but the goals are what count. And that is what would lead us up. All right, going to take our break in just a little bit and get into our stars of the game, but it should be noted that we do have one other game in this busy NHL Saturday, and that is the Edmonton Oilers and the New York Rangers. It looks like things are getting real interesting in this one. Evan Bouchard and Leon Draisaitl alongside Darnell Nurse and Bas Pudinski, or VP for short, are leading the charge, tallying the New York Rangers 4-1. That game currently in the second intermission right now. We'll keep our eyes peeled on the game as action happens, and it alerts you if we can. But we have our game pucks of the game to get into, our shake of the game if there's time. One thing I want to get into before we wrap up this portion is, well, our stars of the game, which would usually be brought to you by, if this was Maple Leaf Post Recap, Molson Canadian Beer on the TV side and the radio side, which is the official beer of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but we are not sponsored by anything. And in the Pittsburgh side, it would also be brought to you by what Pittsburgh has, the 3 stars brought to you by. We are not sponsored by anything. So let's just get the 3 stars out of the way and then remind you of the line score before taking our time out. So the stars of the game, I mean, this is kind of how I would kind of draw this up. This is kind of how I would draw it up. I mean, I mean, look. I mean, look. Look at it. I mean, look at it. Here you have the producers of Dylan Gunther in the first spot. He got 2 goals in the game, 1 assist. He gets 3 points. And you've got 2 assists, 2 points in Logan Cooley. Then you've got Mr. 600 goals himself, Sidney Crosby, or as Canada sometimes calls him, the man known as Sid the Kid. Sidney Crosby absolutely deserves, in my opinion, to be a part of the stars of the game. I mean, there are people that might also deserve some chances, but Crosby's the one that kept the Pittsburgh Penguins in the game. And yes, Nedeljkovic had his ups and downs, but he had quite the game. And you look at Dylan Gunther, you look at Logan Cooley, those guys are having games to remember with the Utah Hockey Club. Remember, Utah Hockey Club fans, this is only the first time for the Utah Hockey Club in NHL history. They're replacing a team that was once called the Phoenix Coyotes and once called the Arizona Coyotes. Now, will this name change back? Maybe, maybe not. It seems like you're off to a good season with the Utah Hockey Club. But we'll see where the remainder of the season goes. It seems like people are buying into this team. And yeah, they're having quite the season to remember as well. We're going to take another break and get our shake of the game in the featured. We've also got our game pucks of the game, but also coming up, in case we don't have time to make a final check-in or maybe some check-ins into the NHL action going on, which is now just the Rangers and the Oilers. We may also touch on another game that also needed overtime, another game that also needed a shootout, and we might just get you ready for Utah's next match between, I mean, I'm kind of wearing the hat of the team's next opponent. But you know what I find funny as we take this break? You know what I find funny? Utah Hockey Club and the Pittsburgh Penguins are preparing the Utah Hockey Club for literally the only action on Sunday. And that is the Toronto Maple Leafs versus the Utah Hockey Club. There's literally only one game this Sunday, and that's the Leafs versus Utah. It's Utah versus the Leafs. Utah versus the Leafs. Wow. The only Sunday hockey. No need for a look around the NHL on Sunday. There's basically that's it. That's the only game. By the time it's over, that's it. That's the only hockey. So no need for that. All right. We'll take a break. Come back. What's next for the Penguins? What's next for the Utah Hockey Club? And what's next is the shake of the game. If there's time, the game pucks of the game. And we'll even touch on one of the plays that could be a play of the game if there's time. All of that when Penguins postgame continues. Stick with me.
Looking for conversations on books and more, as well as tutorials on using your favorite devices and applications? You've come to the right place. Join us weekly on Spicy Techie, where Ali and Sienna provide insightful conversations, as well as useful tips and tricks to help you along on your technological journey. To learn more, tune into the show and like the Spicy Techie Facebook page. Search for Spicy Techie.
Penguins 1-6. Utah Hockey Club. Utah Hockey Club victorious in the first of two meetings between the Penguins and the Utah Hockey Club. Their next match? Well, that is to say, January 26th, 2025 at 9:30 Eastern Time. Note the start time. It's 9:30, 30 minutes after 9:30. Excuse me, 9 o'clock. We are approaching the finish line of Dolphins postgame, but you know what we got to do? We got to get to our shake of the game. And of course, I think tonight's Penguins shake of the game, well, I would give it to the goalie. I think tonight's shake of the game earned a spot on what I think is going to be Sidney Crosby. So, again, as I've said before with Sidney Crosby, he has finally accomplished that milestone. And tonight was the night. I almost feel like I told the host of Penguins postgame, Scott McGregor, that tonight was the night that Crosby was going to make it rain. And yes, he did. So I was right to think that. So Crosby is definitely a guy that I look at and say he deserved a ton of credit, but he didn't do it alone. Let's be real. He didn't do it alone. He did have people. He did have people helping him through it. So it wasn't just him. I mean, yeah, he got the goal, but he also had some other stuff to give. He had 7 shots on goal. Of course, he got the only PPG. He had 2 hits to give. And while he may have been a minus, he was 63.2 good on the faceoff circle tonight in just 21 shifts. He was only on the ice for 18 minutes and 44 seconds. And he had about a total of 1 point and 1 goal, which apparently makes it a -2. I don't think so. I think that's a plus. He got a point, didn't he? I mean, come on, he got a point, didn't he? He got a goal. He got that gives you a point. Now, we could give a shake of the game, or rather a pick me up, to Alex Nedeljkovic, considering the game that he had. But I mean, look, yeah, he gave up 3 power play goals. So what? He gave up 3 even strength goals as well. That's 6 goals he allowed. Had the 6 goals that he allowed been an empty net goal, yeah, I can see why he would have allowed 6 goals. But to his credit, he kept the team in it as well. And he made 24 saves out of 30 shots he faced, ending the night with a shot save percentage on 800%. So he was like 800% save percentage wise, spending only 59 minutes and 55 seconds. All right. Now, I would go into game puck to the game, but game pucks of the game is kind of like the shake of the game. And the shake of the game for me on the Utah Hockey Club, I mean, yeah, it could be the guy that got like 2, 3 goals probably, and Dylan Gunther, but no, he only got 2. But to me, even though I can't say this guy's name right, to me, I think KV, the starter for the Utah Hockey Club, I think he did a fantastic job. He only allowed 1 goal, and that was on the power play, and that was Sidney Crosby's 600th power play goal. Excuse me, 600th career NHL goal. and he got it tonight. Now, KV does finish the night 59 minutes and 48 seconds of ice time with a save percentage of 964%. But to his credit, almost every shot he faced out of 28 was a save. The only time it wasn't a save was when Sidney Crosby scored his 600th NHL career goal, which would be his 8th goal of the season. Now, could 601 NHL career goals be his 9th? Possibly. But when will that happen? It could be the next match, which is against the Lightning Wednesday night. This Wednesday. Who knows? Maybe Crosby wants to accomplish another record that only certain players can accomplish. Like I said, who knows? I know one thing. KV, love him, hate him. He was able to make sure the team didn't lose this game against the Pittsburgh Penguins and save as many shots the Pittsburgh Penguins had as he could. Now that we got that out of the way, let's take a look at the remaining scores. Now, we did talk about the Canucks. No, sorry, we talked about the Lightning. Their next match is against the Penguins. They lost 4-2. Of course, the Hurricanes end up beating the lose to the Blue Jacks. They lose to the Blue Jackets 5-4. Devils 3-2. Victors over the Capitals. Jets 4-1 losers over the Predators. 3-1 victors, the Islanders over the Blues. The Sabres 4-2 victors over the San Jose Sharks. And they wouldn't be the only 4-2 victor, but the Boston Bruins beat the Red Wings 2-1. The Vancouver Canucks ended up in a close one against the Ottawa Senators, but the Vancouver Canucks had the answer. And old friend of the Boston Bruins ended up scoring against the Ottawa Senators in Jake DeBrusk. But ultimately, it was Tim Stützle, Claude Giroux, who tried to keep this game from growing any larger, but Kiefer Sherwood would make sure 3 was only what Ottawa got. So Ottawa, 3 goals. Vancouver, 4 goals, with Kiefer Sherwood leading the charge to finish things off. Golden Knights get smacking around the Montreal Canadiens 6-2 in their favor. And the Avalanche end up scoring a touchdown over the defending champions. But the defending champions would fight back as hard as they could. Only able to get 4 goals, they would lose 7-4 over the Avalanche. The Kraken lose to the Kings 2-1 tonight with Andre Kemp leading the charge. and Brendan Montour leading the charge for the Kraken. The Wild lose to the Flames 4-3. That one also needed overtime, but also needed a shootout. And scoring update as we come to the conclusion of the game and Penguins postgame scoring update double. McDavid has scored not once, but twice in this game with assists from Evan Bouchard, Kasperi Kapanen, and we've got the Stetcher also on the assist of his 11th goal of the season, second of the night. The last game to go final before that also needed overtime, and that's the Blackhawks against the Flyers, with the Flyers ending up to beat the Blackhawks in a close game. Patrick Maroon, the only other scorer for the Blackhawks. But Noah Cates and Sean Couturier led the charge to keep the Blackhawks from a 2-0 victory to a 3-2 Flyers victory. So good job, Sean Couturier, and the one that got things started with Noah Cates. Great job, boys. Great job. All right. Time for the game, pucks of the game. And despite time constraints, because I do want to get in to what's next for both teams, let's talk about Utah and Pittsburgh from game pucks of the game. Now, Colton Keller, yeah, he got 3 assists. Yeah, he gets 3 points. Sure, whatever. However, I do think, given the way Utah was going, and I'm trying to be as unbiased as I possibly can for you all, but I do think that the Utah Hockey Club could have had more from Colton Keller. So, yeah, I could have saw a goal from him. I mean, 20 shifts is fine. 18 minutes, 5 seconds on the ice is fine. But I would have loved to see if he could actually make this a 7-1 goal lead for the Pittsburgh Penguins to try to come back from. Now, remember, Penguins fans, I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible because there are Penguins fans out there that I know are probably looking at me like I'm just, you're just saying that for the Pittsburgh Penguins so we don't feel bad. Well, sure, I might be saying that, but I'm just be clear here. I'm going to be as unbiased as I possibly can. Now, the same can be said for Logan Cooley. He's another one of those guys that I think is on quite the interesting role. But tonight wasn't his night. He got 2 points, he got 2 assists, he gets 2 points plus, and unfortunately, unable to find the back of the net. But you know what? That's okay. Because tomorrow's another day, tomorrow's another game, and who better to get it in front of than Toronto? Maybe you can get it in front of your next team matchups. Our game pucks of the game for the Pittsburgh Penguins kind of follow as this. Now, I did like Ricard Rakell's dominance that he had when it comes to making things count, as he had, I believe, 22 shifts. He was -2, but you cannot say that he did not try, because I am sure he tried. I'm damn sure of it. He tried. Now, he's -2 in this game. Okay, back to the drawing board. But despite being -2, he did have 4 hits to give. Yes, he gave the puck away, but then he took it away. And while he may have only had those to give, I believe that if the game went the Pittsburgh way, or it went both teams' way, Ricard Rakell not only sees Crosby's 600th goal career in the NHL, but he also has a goal of his own to be proud of. Now, we're approaching the final moment of this program. Let's take a double look here at the ongoing game between the Rangers and the Penguins. This will also be our last look at it. It looks like with 6 minutes and 47 seconds to go, the Edmonton Oilers are probably going to win this game against the New York Rangers, but anything, and I mean anything, can change. They are currently on the power play, and anything could change. I mean, the Rangers can and might have a chance at scoring before the period is up. But we'll see. All right, let's take a 30-second timeout and get ready to wrap this show up. I do want to talk a lot about Crosby, but I'm afraid that'll have to wait till next time. We're going to take a 30-second timeout. Word on the ice and behind the benches from Take Another Look, the podcast. And maybe On the Ice and Behind the Benches has some words for you of what's coming up on the podcast. And on Sports for Beginners, we'll take a 30-second timeout and hear a word from our station of Sports for Beginners as we try to wrap up Penguins and Utah Hockey Club. A reminder as we take that 30-second timeout to keep it tuned for Lightning and Penguins Wednesday night in Pittsburgh. But before that, why don't you join me for Dolphins postgame as the Dolphins host the Patriots. It's going to be a good one. All right, back in 30 seconds to wrap this up in a neat little bow. Penguins postgame continues in 30 seconds.
Looking for conversations? on the world of broadcasting, sports media, and from time to time, my favorite sports teams. Listen to Broadcast Map with me, Ali Musa. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Broadcast Map Facebook page. Search Broadcast Map.
Penguins postgame is back with Scott McGregor in the host chair. Wednesday, when the Lightning and the Penguins go to battle for what I believe is the second and final meeting between the two teams, but I could be wrong. I am back with you just before we wrap up December, or rather November, as Scott and I will take care of two back-to-backs. I will be with you for the Calgary Flames. Scott will be with you for the Boston game. But I have you for Penguins pre-show coming up in December. Ahead, probably when you're getting ready for the Maple Leafs and the Pittsburgh Penguins on December 7th. But I'll have a Penguins pre-show ahead of the Rangers and the Penguins as we get you ready for Rangers Penguins on Penguins postgame. Penguins pre-show makes its triumphant return when the Rangers are in Pittsburgh. Can Pittsburgh right the wrongs they had with the Rangers? We'll see. Find out with Scott in the host chair after Rangers and Penguins. Who got revenge, or if the Rangers were able to, just like the opener in Pittsburgh on October 9th, 2024, take it 2-1. And I believe there's one more meeting with the Rangers. There's actually two more meetings with the Rangers, but those are not in January. Those are within February. And then I believe that is it for the Rangers, for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Will I be your host for one of the Ranger games on Penguins postgame? Wait and find out. All right. Speaking of the Rangers, they are currently in a game with McDavid, and they are trying their hardest. After we left them for our 30-second timeout, it was Edmonton Oilers 6, New York Rangers 2. There isn't much time left in the third period, but never say never. The Rangers have 2 goals, and that one coming off of Artemi Panarin, his 12th of the season, and Alex Lafreniere on the assist for his 8th assist of the season. congratulations to him. All right. Now, before I get into Crosby's 600th goal, because I know we've got to wrap up this show, let us find out what is next for the teams of conversation in the Utah Hockey Club and the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll start with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I have my phone with me that has the schedule. And just a reminder that Wednesday night, I am mistaken. When I said Wednesday night, and I think I mistake myself there in the chat there as well that I'm using for this, but I'll work on it. It's the Vancouver Canucks Wednesday night. And then it's Boston at 6:30 on Friday night in the TD Garden. 7 p.m., of course, is the Calgary Flames. 6:30 p.m. is the Boston Bruins. Going to be a good one. We got the Florida Panthers before we take a quick road trip into the Rangers area in Madison Square Garden. That, of course, is where that next meeting for the Rangers and the Penguins will be. So, yes, they will be in Madison Square Garden, not PPG Paints Arena. They will be in Madison Square Garden. And then it's the Maple Leafs, the team that's going to be facing the Utah Hockey Club, as it is now Sunday, in a matter of moments. That game, of course, for the Utah Hockey Club, scheduled Sunday to get going at, I believe, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Wrapping up the Penguins' look ahead with a home game against the Avalanche on December 10th, Tuesday night, and then a 7 p.m. Habs versus Penguins match with the Montreal Canadiens and the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll wrap it up with the Ottawa Senators the following Saturday night after the Maple Leafs, as they'll take on the Pittsburgh Penguins in the nation's capital of Canada, Ottawa, at the Canadian Tire Center, December 14th, 2024. That could be part of a double trouble. You never know. Double trouble is always Buffalo Bills and Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. Maybe it's Blue Jays when the baseball season's back. We'll see. Who knows? It could be double hockey. It could be the PWHL. It could be the NHL being discussed on both bases. Whatever the word, 7 p.m. is the puck drop, December 14th, and 7th, 2024. The first Saturday night, they're against the Maple Leafs. The second Saturday night, they are against the Ottawa Senators. And the third Saturday night, while we're at it, on December 21st, is none other than the Devils. All right. I could go on into the games before the Devils or even after them, but we would be here all night. So let's take a look at what's next and just a few games for the Utah Hockey Club's December schedule. Let's take a look at what Utah's schedule looks like as they prepare for battle with the Maple Leafs at 7 p.m. on Sunday. Now, of course, they're going to have a match against the Montreal Canadiens. But that's not going to be until Tuesday night. Same time as the Toronto Maple Leafs game, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and more like 6 p.m. Central time, 4 p.m. Pacific, etc., etc. Then they'll host the Edmonton Oilers at 9 p.m. Eastern time, following a back-to-back against the Vegas Golden Knights in Vegas at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So a few late night games for us on the Eastern time zone for the Edmonton Oilers, the Utah Hockey Club at the end of November. What does their December schedule look like? Well, it starts on December 2nd with a home game against the Dallas Stars at 9 p.m. Eastern time. That is p.m. Eastern time, not a.m. It is not a morning game. It is a p.m. game, which is an evening game. They'll have an afternoon game though on Saturday, December 7th, when the Maple Leafs and the Penguins are hosting each other. And you can catch that game on Sportsnet 1 on the Eastern side, or wherever you get it in Utah. Maybe you'll stream it on the radio. You can also see them take on at 7 p.m. Eastern time Sunday, December 8th, as that's also a back-to-back. They'll take on the Philadelphia Flyers. And then they'll host the Minnesota Wild at 9:30 Eastern time Tuesday night. It's a 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern time game on Thursday and Saturday night, December 14th and 12th of the season, between the Avalanche at 9 p.m. Eastern time Thursday night, and then 10 p.m. Eastern time Saturday night against the Shark Tank of the San Jose Sharks. Bring out the brooms, get ready. It's time for a Vancouver Canucks showdown between the Utah Hockey Club and the Vancouver Canucks. And that is where we will put a bow on this show right now for the Utah Hockey Club schedule. Let's take a look. Let's see if the game has indeed gone final. Yes, it has indeed gone final. So it looks like we'll have 2 games, 6-2 finals, as the Oilers plow their way into the victory column Sunday, with the Rangers falling 6-2. All right, everybody. It has been fun talking about Penguins and the Utah Hockey Club. But unfortunately, we have run out of time to talk about Sidney Crosby. I know, I wanted to talk about it, but unfortunately, we have run out of time. But good news to all of those who are Dolphins fans. I've got some good news. You are not going to get rid of me that easily on Sports for Beginners, because right after the Patriots and the Dolphins game, I've got Dolphins post game for you coming up. All right. We've got to get out of here for Penguins post game. Another Saturday night of hockey bites the dust. The Toronto Maple Leafs back at it again tonight, as it is now Sunday, with the Utah Hockey Club. Now, the Maple Leafs have not played since their last game, which was against the Golden Knights. So they've had quite a lot of days off. But now it's time to get back to work. And it's against the Utah Hockey Club. I have Maple Leaf Post recaps to get you ready for that, and I'll have a Maple Leaf Post recap to get you ready for Utah and the Maple Leafs' next matchups, as we've mentioned here on Penguins Post Game. The next matchups for the Utah Hockey Club include, as we've said, and I'm only going to review the next match after the Maple Leafs, Sunday. The next match is with, in November. The next match contains a Tuesday night showdown between the Montreal Canadiens and the Utah Hockey Club. Then it's Edmonton time at 9 p.m. Eastern time in Utah. How is that going to go down? Stick around, Utah Hockey Club fans. There's a lot of hockey left to be played. All right. Real quick. Tonight marks the match. The Penguins match tonight marks the 20th game they have played so far. They have played 20 games, and they have played now 23. So out of 82, the Maple Leafs are seeing a team in the Utah Hockey Club that has played, compared to Pittsburgh, 20 games. Here comes game number 21 against the Utah Hockey Club, and it's against the Maple Leafs. However, for the Penguins, when they face the Vancouver Canucks on Wednesday night, they have played, out of 82 games, 23 if you count tonight, Saturday night. And if they were playing on Sunday with Vancouver, that would mark 58 games left for their season and 24 games played. There's only a couple of games left to be played and in a couple of months. But you know what? The hockey action doesn't have to stop on the ice and behind the benches. Because the women are about to get going. November 30th, it all kicks off. And that's going to be fun. That is next Saturday, I believe. Next Saturday. Oh my goodness, time flies fast, doesn't it? All right, we got to get out of here. If you are a Dolphins fan, though, you're not going to get rid of me that easy, because coming up, when Penguins postgame is finished, join me after Dolphins and Patriots for Dolphins postgame. We're recapping the finale between the Dolphins and the Patriots. Can they bounce back against the Dolphins, the Patriots? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But for now, I wish you a fantastic Sunday for all of those who have teams that got victories. And I hope to see you all again ahead of the Calgary Flames and Pittsburgh Penguins Penguin postgame. That's when you'll see me next. If you're Dolphins fans, stay right where you are and enjoy Dolphins and Patriots, because after Dolphins and Patriots, Dolphins postgame comes your way on Sports for Beginners. And on the ice and behind the benches is a proud owner of Sports for Beginners' Penguins postgame, which can only be heard on every Penguins off day for the Pittsburgh Penguins this season, including playoffs if they make it. Our Penguins Wednesday hockey, depending on if they have a chance to make the postseason, will wrap up regular season Wednesday hockey amidst the 80th game the Penguins play this season. Now, what does that mean? Well, what it means is you'll be getting single Penguins Wednesday hockeys when we get closer to 80 games getting played by the Penguins. For now, I am Thomas McGregor, and this has been Penguins Postgame on Sport for Beginners and on the ice and behind the benches. Couldn't get to our attendance record, couldn't talk about Crosby, but I wish you a good night, a good Sunday morning, whenever you may be listening to this. And I'll see you, Penguins fans, after Flames and Penguins next Saturday night. See you then. Closing message. Take us out of here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has just left the building. You've just listened to Pittsburgh Penguins hockey on the Sports for Beginners podcast. To learn more about the show and to view the upcoming schedule, like the Sports for Beginners Facebook page. Search Sports for Beginners or visit the official Sports for Beginners podcast website. Thanks for listening, and until next time, stay tuned. And remember that it is not goodbye, it is until next time. And you'd have to be here to believe it. Thank you so much for checking in to Penguins postgame this season, Penguins fans. Your host of the Sports for Beginners podcast, Scott McGregor. Here, I just wanted to let you guys know that it brings me great joy to bring you a show like the one we brought you last year. And it brings me even more joy with everything that has come out of it as well, as we try to navigate through quite a year with milestone after milestone in the month of October and the month of September. As mentioned, again, my name is Scott McGregor, but if you have any questions, any concerns, any content you want aired on the program, please send me an email at sportsforbeginnerspodcast 8231 at gmail.com. Once again, that's Sports for Beginners podcast 8231 at gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast and for listening to this episode of Penguins Postgame. We will see you next time right here on Sports for Beginners. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.